Farg'ona davlat universiteti talabalari va magistrantlari diqqatiga. Ilm yo'lini tanlagan aziz yoshlar, endilikda siz yillik o'quv rejasida belgilangan dars mashg'ulotlari va mavzularni nafaqat oliy ta'lim muassasasiga kelgan holda, balki maxsus platformaga joylanuvchi video darslar orqali ham o'zlashtirishingiz, bilimlaringizni mustahkamlashingiz mumkin. Bu borada biz sizga yaqindan ko'mak beramiz. Ya'ni oliygoh professor o'qituvchilar tomonidan olib borilgan dars jarayonlari tasvirga olingan holda taqdim etiladi. Biz sizning mukammal va sifatli ta'lim olishingiz tarafdorimiz. Siz istagan paytingiz va joyingizda ushbu darslarni tomosha qilishingiz va mavzularni mukammal tarzda o'zlashtirishingiz mumkin. Farg'ona davlat universiteti rahbariyati talabalar uchun qulay va mukammal ta'lim sharoitlarini yaratib berishga hamisha tayyor.
A good part of the day, dear listeners, and today I am presenter TURDIMATOVA Madina, a teacher in the Faculty of English Language and Literature and Fargana State University. Our course today is aspects of a language, and we will much learn about today appropriate use of language. Yes, when it comes to this question, we will have to set our objectives. Like at the end of the lessons, you, the learners, will be able to use the language based on different contexts in terms of lexical choice. When it comes to appropriate language use, we use on a daily basis, at a regular basis, different sorts of words, including jargons, euphemisms, slangs, idioms, and everyday expressions. Based on them, we will look through some kind of examples here, and we will take into consideration some contextual meanings of them with what are appropriate language use here. So, while we are using the language expressions every day, we try to choose our words carefully when we write and when we speak, when we listen. And this whole the procedure in which we try to explain our own opinions based on the contextual meaning. So, by means of developing the habit of selecting words that are precise and concise by the meaning, and also they should be appropriate for your purpose. You must avoid slang, cliches, pretentious words, euphemism, jargon, redundancy, and wordiness. Yes, they are the appropriate language use of aspects. So here we will move on to the next. What we will see in the whole presentation here: cliché, euphemism, jargon, slang, redundancy, and wordiness. And cliché, what is it? A cliché is an expression that has been worn out through constant use. Although they are common in speech, they make writing seem stale. You should avoid cliches and try to express your meaning in original ways. Here are some typical cliches. Yes, this is the true and right definitions for what is cliché is. And when it comes to the cliches, yes, we use them on a daily basis, based on frequently used words, overused words we can call also. For example, in the English language, you can see some more examples here. For example, short but sweet, work like a dog, singing the blues, on the top of the world, make ends meet, last but not least, too little, too late, easier said than done, in the nick of time. Now I will put these phrases, these expressions in the contextual examples, and it will be much more clear for you. For example, on a daily basis, if you pay attention to in the nick of time, this means in time without being late. For example, I always try to take into consideration my time schedule so as to not get in the nick of time. This means in the nick of time, I always try to be punctual on time for my lessons, for my meetings, and for everything. And here, short but sweet. This is also very frequently used, commonly used on a daily basis. When we use this short but sweet, we will put into some kind of situations here. For example, don't speak so much about your problems to everyone. Just be short and but sweet. And that is the true examples. So next one, what is a euphemism? This is a substitute for an expression that may offend or suggest something offensive for the receiver. Yes, euphemisms are maybe the expressions or the words that is frequently used also. But instead of using offensive, insulting words on a daily basis while we are communicating with others, we try to take into consideration much more colorful, positive words, expressions, and even phrases so as to not get insulted that person, that means the speakers. For example, retarded means in the English language stupid person. Instead of saying stupid thing on a daily basis, this is just a speech. But instead of this, we use mentally challenged person. If we compare it our Uzbek language, I will give another example. Instead of saying ahmoq in Uzbek language, and we use the mentally challenged, ruhi hasta inson. And here you can see much more kind of colorful and positive aspect of the language here by means of using euphemism, of course. And next example, janitor. Janitor means someone whose duty is to clean and the caretaker for the building. And instead of saying janitor, we use sanitary engineer. Here, much more cultivated, much more cultural, and much more positive without offensive word just comes out on our speech. And next example, instead of poor, we use poor, financially challenged person. For example, instead of saying most of the people are in the poor conditions, instead of saying this, most of the people can be seen as financially challenged people. Let's move on to the next slide. Here, jargon. What is it? Yes, jargon is also one of the important layers of the linguistics, of the language units. Jargon is a specialized or a technical vocabulary of a certain group, profession, or people who share the same interest together. This means, for example, teachers group, lawyers group, or doctors group, they have their own communication way of using language. Once used outside the profession or group, it may cause a barrier to communication to people not familiar with the language. Yes, these are the special words for the special group of people. For example, if doctors communicate with each other on a daily communication, we ordinary people never understand and take into consideration what they are going on, what is going on here on communication, on their speech. If we pay attention here, the examples, medical jargon, computer jargon, sports jargon, and business jargons are the specific group of words that is more understandable for only this specific group of people. And this is considered as the jargons. In the next slide, you can see the slang. What is slang? Yes, slangs are also one of the important layers of the linguistic units. And on a daily basis, we use them more frequently than ever other sorts of words like this. Informal word or expression that is not considered standard and appropriate for formal occasions. Yes, slangs can be considered as the street language. For example, ordinary people who are not aware of the literary layer of the language, they use everything what comes out, or what is understandable for the situation, for the topic, without any kind of hesitation, without not taking into consideration any sorts of formality and informality level of the language. They use it, this kind of expressions. For example, these are words used in ordinary situations. Yes, this is daily life. This is maybe street language, but everyone understands this. For example, my new friend is cool. As an English learners, you are aware of what that means, cool itself. Cool is the word related to the weather, for example. Today the weather is cool. For example, in autumn the weather is cool. This means here not cold weather, a little bit cold weather. But here, my new friend is cool. This is the example for the slang. Instead of using the meaning of this word for the related to the weather, cool means here best or excellent. My new friend is excellent. Excellent friend, like this. So next one, I want to ride a limo. A limo is limousine. Instead of using the limousine, a limo is the street language term and word used by ordinary people. And if you pay attention, these words are highly understandable for everyone, for each and every member of the society. Maybe doctors, maybe students group, maybe even the little children understand this. My sister is working as a QC manager. So QC manager is the highly debatable buzzword this is. So QC means here, yes, it seems the abbreviation, but quality controller manager. And this means this is also common vocabulary for the slang. Instead of quality controller manager, this is long one. Instead of just the QC manager is okay here in the context. So in the next presentation, we will look through the redundancy and wordiness. What are they? Unnecessary repetition of words in expressing ideas. This is redundancy. Instead of using so many long words, long phrases, we try to give clear and concise points on our speech. And here, redundancy helps us on our speech. Whenever we communicate with our friends, with our teachers, with the professors, and everywhere. And let's just look through some kind of examples. At the present time, instead of at the present time, here you can see the at the present time for words. Instead of this, we will just use now. At the present time, I am working at the Fergana State University. Instead of this, I am working for Ghana State University now. So now is just a short expression, short word, instead of using the long one at the present time. They are just replaceable. Next one, in the event that, instead of if. In the near future, here just soon. And due to the fact that, this means because. Yes, they are very common vocabulary, but we use them based on the context. For example, if you pay attention how they are different in the language use, yes, they are different when it comes to formal speech and informal speech. Especially, for example, when we are writing academic writings like essays, we try to take advantage of course, the academic style. Here, at the present time, in the event that in the near future, due to the fact that plays more significant role while we are carrying out the academic style here. And next slide also gives about the information for the redundancy. Instead of is able to or be able to, we just use can. I can speak English. Instead of this, I am able to speak English. Here, a little bit complex language is just appearing on my speech. In this day and age, this is very kind of long one expression. Instead of just we can use just today. And a large number of something instead of just many. Big in size, just big. So instead of return back, return. Commute back and forth, commute. Postpone it until later, just postponed. They are the right and appropriate examples for the redundancy. And we are moving to the next slide for the examples. Let's just look through it. So here I will clarify the wordiness itself also. Yes, redundancy and wordiness are somehow the same thing. And they are controversial with opposite of each other. For example, return back is wordiness. I am using two words, and just return, I am using a single word here for the redundancy. Yes, they are opposite phenomena in the language. Commute back and forth is for the wordiness, and commute is just for the redundancy. Postpone it until later. This is just three word expressions for the wordiness, this means. And just postpone it is for the redundancy. And here, for the appropriate language use, we learned cliché, euphemism, jargon, slang, and redundancy. Here, you can check your knowledge by means of these examples. Let's look through these examples together. So, the entire show was awesome. the underlined word awesome which of the appropriate language units? Is it cliché, euphemism, jargon, slang, or redundancy? What do you think? So here awesome is just cliché word. Cliché, as we learned about, more used vocabulary units on a daily basis. So yes, awesome is used very kind of as a buzzword on a daily basis. Next one, the lawyer explained to his client that habeas corpus is. At first sight, the first thing that comes out on your mind is what is habeas corpus is. Yes, you do not know this because this is the expression only used, understandable for only specific group of people, lawyers. Habeas corpus means when in the court for the prisoner there is given a place so as to attend them in the procedure of the court. This is just the procedure related to the court. This means lawyers jargon. This is. Next example, the politician is willing to help the economically deprived. As you can see here, economically deprived is the word underlined, and pay attention to the meaning. So economically deprived means the poor. Instead of saying the politician is willing to help the poor, instead of saying the poor, here just use the economically deprived, financially challenged word this is. And this is of course euphemism. Instead of saying insulted words, offensive word, poor, here economically deprived, highly cultivated word is used. In the next example, her extravagance brought her negative savings. Savings here, underlined word, and this is not jargon, this is not cliche, this is not euphemism, and this is slangs for the daily usage. Savings is something you save so as to not get extravagant your money. Next examples, we will go on with them. Please give that color green back to Engineer Gomez, our guest speaker. Here underlined word is color green. Here, what if we say this? Please give that green back to Engineer Gomez. Instead of green, we just use color green. Instead of using one short word, we are just giving the color green one. This is the phenomena of the not redundancy, this is wordiness. Young people think that it is cool to be different. Yes, cool, as we have just mentioned before the slides. Cool means awesome or excellent, like this. And they came up with a system that will be debug the current software. As you can see here, the debug underlined word. And this means related to the computer and technology or software, something like this. Debug is jargon here. If they came up with a system that will debug the current software, this means that will reform the current software. They will reform the errors on the software program. Daniel sold his house in the province to buy a pre-owned automobile. Here you can see the underlined word pre-owned automobile. What if we say, instead of pre-owned automobile, this is a beautiful way of expressing our own idea. Instead of saying pre-owned automobile, what if we say old car, old automobile? Here, of course, the euphemism comes out and use it. My friend likes wearing shirts that are extra large in size. Yes, extra large in size is underlined word here, and as you can see here, it is the wordiness process is going on here. Instead of saying extra large in size, what if we say, my friend likes wearing shirts that are large, that are big for her, and like this. As you can see here, the journalist wrote a persuading lead in his article. Yes, a lead is underlined word, and this is jargon. This means information in the journalism language. For the reason that he is late, he was not accepted in class. For the reason that, here is the wordiness. Instead of this, because he is late, he was not accepted in class. Here, because and for the reason that is just replacing to each other in the phenomena of redundancy and photoavoidance. The woman looked white as a ghost when she saw the accident. So white as a ghost, here the cliche. And I still have liabilities to Anna. Liability means the responsibilities to Anna. Instead of saying responsibility, here's just the beautiful word. Not just responsible, liability. My duty to Anna. This means, which means that euphemism is used here. And the speakers beat around the bush. Beat around the bush here is the slang. Beat around the bush means it is actually idiom and it is overused. That's why we can call also as a cliches. If someone that beat around the bush, they never give clear point. Instead of saying exact words, they try to wander around the bush. This means they never say the same thing. And here the task for you. List down 10 jargons in your field or expertise. If you are the learners of your major is the English language, try to take into consideration your teacher, as a student, you can write your own examples. Define the jargons as to how you feel, explain it to a common person. And this is the task for you. This was the end of our slide, and thank you for your attention. See you for the next lessons.